I was traumatized yesterday. I've been lately, for background, watching really old TV shows, right? And I watched an Alfred Hitchcock, Alfred Hitchcock, the psycho guy. He had a TV show back in the 50s and 60s, and it was like a mystery type thing, right? And so the mystery, it was like Black Mirror, except in the 50s. So just like weird little stories. And so I was watching one, and me and my squirrels, right? Tito the squirrel and the other squirrels. Tito's left us. He's left us chasing tail. You haven't seen us, but now other squirrels come up to the door, get on the screen, and feed them. You've seen my TikToks or whatever and YouTubes about the squirrels. I'm cued into the squirrel community. Well, this Alfred Hitchcock story comes on, and I've never seen it, and so I'm just watching it like it's new. That's what I'm saying. It's stuff that's before your time or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's new to you if it's new to you, you know what I mean? So I'm watching it. Also, the other thing I like to do, I like to watch old shows. Doesn't have to be that old, but just throughout the years. And I like to see big time actors in smaller roles, like before they, hit it big, or sometimes actors on the other end of the scale when they're, So I love seeing that. And you see that in all those old shows like that. But anyway, so this one story starts out with a kind of a farm couple, and they're in the kitchen eating, and the squirrel comes up and jumps on the screen door, just like my squirrels do. And she gets up like, oh, okay. She gets up and goes out and feeds the squirrel. She picks the squirrel up. I don't do that. We used to do that with Tito. Offspring did. I didn't. But, and then she goes, the squirrel comes to the door to say he wants some food. He wants to visit. And she would go feed the squirrel and gave the squirrel some water and some nuts or whatever. And, and then the husband hired this, they work on a farm, hired a hired hand, when people would just show up and say, could you work for a day? And he gave him room and board and $3 a day or something. The guy was weird. He was weird. He was actually Boo Radley from Kill a Mockingbird. Anyway, the guy was weird. The woman right away felt uncomfortable with this guy. But the husband's like, yeah, I need the help. And she's like, well, he makes me uncomfortable. And then when the squirrel came, he's like, what's that? And the husband's like, oh, that's her pet squirrel. And then when he left, he saw the squirrel outside, and he was like mean to it and kicked dirt on it and all. And she's like, leave the squirrel alone. And the husband didn't say anything. And then, y'all don't mind me telling this story because I'm traumatized. So then, she tries to tell the husband she's not comfortable. He doesn't care. And then she's in the house and she hears this horrible noise. Well, you might not know Boo Radley, but the actor's Bruce Dern, and he's very young, which is Laura Dern's dad, right? Who's done a lot of things. He's done a lot of things. Google him. But anyway, so, but in The Kill a Mockingbird, seems like he's a bad guy. In this one, he really is a bad guy. And the husband is completely oblivious. And so the woman is in her house and she hears this horrible noise. She knows it's the squirrel. And she goes running outside, and To Kill a Mockingbird. Oh yeah, it's classic. So she runs outside and the squirrel is dead. The squirrel is dead. The squirrel is dead and dead and in the food bowl. The squirrel has been murdered, and she screams like bloody murder. I don't know who that actress was. It was not somebody I knew, but she was really good. She screams bloody murder, and then literally, and then the husband comes running, and the guy's like behind him, and clearly the guy killed the squirrel, and the husband's like, "Why'd you kill the squirrel?" Like, too calm, and he's like, "Well, he attacked me," and this was a friendly squirrel. He's like, "Why?" The guy said, "Animals don't like me, so they always attack me. All animals hate me and they attack me. So that's why I carry this knife." And he pulls out a knife. He had stabbed the squirrel to death. Oh my gosh. Hello, first time chatter. Jim V. the Dragon for 9888. 88838. Welcome in. So, yeah, he just killed the squirrel, stabbed the squirrel to death, and put him in the bowl. And the woman, this is her pet. They have no children, right? So she is hysterical and distraught and just runs away. And the husband says, no, this is a movie. This is an Alfred Hitchcock TV show. Alfred Hitchcock is the director that did Psycho and The Birds, like all the old scary movies. But he had a TV show which did like little short stories. So she's hysterical and all that stuff. And then the husband said, oh, why'd you kill him? And then the guy told him why. And then he's like, okay. He says to the wife, okay, well, you go on back to the, he was picking peaches or something. And I'll take care of the squirrel and I'll bury him. And told the wife to go on in the house. And she can't even look at him. She at the squirrel, and it was her pet, and she runs inside, and the husband comes in, and she's like, "You're not going to fire him?" And the husband's like, "Well, no, I need the work." So the husband didn't fire him. After. So clearly the man's violent. The man has killed her pet. He did not fire him. He kept him around. So, thanks for the clip. So yeah, you guys know me and the squirrels. Or any pet really, but the squirrel came and got on the screen door just like the squirrels do here every day. My mom teases me. My mom says, you feed the squirrels before you feed me. I lost my last dog last May, and then we had the squirrel that my offspring had raised from a baby. And anyway, so yeah, I've been traumatized ever since by that show. And it's, way back, I don't know, it was his late 50s or something, but it was cruel. It was cruel. It was disturbing. It was as disturbing as any Black Mirror I've seen. So, yeah, that's why I'm traumatized from that show. So, I'll tell the rest of the story because you're not going to see it. But long story short, well, it's already long. Whenever anybody says long story short, that ship has sailed. Anyway, this horrible man that killed the squirrel was an awful, violent man, and he terrorized that woman. They didn't show it, but he basically assaulted her, and she tried to run. She first said she was going to stay in a hotel while the guy was there because the husband would not fire him. The husband said no, and then she heard the husband say that he only married her so that he'd have somebody to cook for him or something, and then he wouldn't let her go to a hotel or whatever. So then this guy was just nasty and just eyeing her and just being creepy. And so she had already killed her squirrel. So see how animated I'm getting? I'm very upset about this. So anyway, she tried to escape. So she just said to her husband, oh, okay, that's fine. And she packed a bag, and at night she was just trying to leave. She knew her husband apparently was not going to protect her. So she's trying to sneak out. He catches her. And basically assaults her and scares her to death. Has the knife. At one point, she gets the knife from him, though. And this is after he's basically terrorized her. And then she screams, and her husband didn't hear her. And then he's like, if he didn't hear that, he's not going to hear anything. And he actually walks her up to the window. Her husband is sound asleep in the chair with the radio on. And she is making as much noise as she can. He's screaming too. He said, he's not going to get up. He can't hear you. So you're stuck with me. She got the knife. She scared him away. He took the truck, stole the truck, and drove off. Then she goes inside and she tells her husband what happened and that shouldn't we call the police? He just stole your truck and everything else. And the husband's like, well, the husband said, well, the radio is saying that there's going to be a hailstorm, so all my peaches are going to get ruined anyway. And that's when she realizes that he heard everything. He was only pretending to sleep. He heard this man assaulting his wife. He heard the screams. He heard everything and pretended to sleep because he couldn't have heard that on the radio if he had been sleeping. And that's when she realized. So the guy that killed the squirrel got away. I really wanted him to die. I'm sorry. But not sorry. But then the husband said that, and then she realized what the husband was, who's really the true villain in the story, right? So the husband, and then she had gotten the knife away from the guy and put it on the kitchen table. She went back and got that knife, and the husband was no more. Stabbed him right in the back. And of course, they don't show it. They just show it later. They show her walking towards him, and then later they show him on the ground. And then she calls the cops and says that it was this horrible stranger that did it. But then Alfred Hitchcock would come on and introduce and end all the shows. And in the between commercials, he would just come on like a narrator. So he came on at the end and said, and there was always those kind of weird endings where you don't always know what's going to happen. But he came on and said, well, of course, the police ended up not believing her story and she went to jail. But yeah, they did not live happily ever after. He's dead. I mean, I think that if she hadn't stabbed him in the back, but otherwise it might have been justified. So yeah, so I'm traumatized by an old Alfred Hitchcock movie just as much as I'd be traumatized by Black Mirror or anything like that. Because he just knew how to get to your to the feels. I hadn't seen that episode before. I haven't seen all the Hitchcocks, but I do like to watch old TV shows, and not only ones that I have seen. Like, anyway, I just needed to share. That was from the heart, because I am telling you, I am still traumatized. And I just like to let those old shows play sometimes in the background. And after that, I turned off Alfred Hitchcock. I have to take a break from Alfred Hitchcock after that. Freaked me the hell out. Other ones freak me out in the same way that they're, that kind of freaky thing. Like the Twilight Zone and Black Mirror, kind of this freaky story things. But this one hit a little bit too close to home.